Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to turn your research, your articles, notes, all that stuff into, well, focused, actionable insights. Today, we're not talking about some loud, obvious smash and grab on your digital defenses. Think of your digital life more like a fortress, right? Layers of security, protecting your valuable stuff inside. Today, we're diving deep into, well, the master spy. The one who quietly installs a secret hidden door, way deep inside, right under your nose. Our mission: to shine a light on this really insidious threat. Backdoor malware. That's probably a term you've heard kicked around. But its stealthy nature, its long-term impact, that makes it so important to understand. Trust me, by the end of this deep dive, you'll be seeing your digital security, maybe even your physical world, through a new lens, a much more vigilant one.
That's a really good way to put it, because unlike so many cyber threats that kind of announce themselves, immediate disruption, files encrypted, backdoors are built for extreme discretion. They're designed purely to grant hidden, persistent access to a system. And that's what makes them so dangerous and, frankly, notoriously challenging to detect. They don't just hit and run, they're setting up shop for the long haul.
Okay, so let's just nail down the basics here. For anyone who's, familiar with cyber threats, when we say backdoor, we're not talking brute force. We mean malicious software designed specifically to bypass normal authentication, to create a secret, uncontrolled access point. It's really about exploiting weaknesses to get that hidden foothold.
Exactly right. The core purpose is giving attackers that hard-to-detect entry point, which lets them do all sorts of things: steal data, install more malware, even gain full remote control over your system. And the really cunning part: they often operate disguised as legitimate software, like a trojan, pretending to be useful, or even, something seemingly harmless like a crypto ticker app that's secretly opening a back door while it runs, granting access.
Right, so it's less the loud break-in, more like planting that secret spare key for long-term use.
Yeah.
That quiet presence, that seems to be the key difference, doesn't it? Because it's built to stay hidden, silent, persistent access. And I guess that inherent deception is why they're often classed as a type of Trojan. They basically trick you into letting them in.
They absolutely do. And once they're installed, the backdoor malware creates what's called a covert channel. Think of it as a secret communication path. It often mimics legitimate network traffic, maybe hiding data in DNS queries or HTTP headers. So it can slip right past your standard firewalls, your security tools, makes them incredibly tough to spot. And once that channel's open, attackers can remotely run commands, grab sensitive data, mess with system settings, all completely without the user knowing.
Wow. It sounds like getting one of these back doors installed is like the attacker's main goal then. How do they actually manage to sneak them in? Are the methods really that varied?
Oh, they are. Our sources point to quite a few common methods. A lot are delivered via Trojan horses, like remember the Emotet banking Trojan? Started by stealing info, but then it sort of evolved into the sophisticated delivery system for other malware, including backdoors. They can also exploit vulnerabilities, known or unknown, in software or hardware. We saw that with Double Pulsar back in 2017. It used weaknesses in Windows systems for cryptojacking.
Cryptojacking. That's where they secretly use your computer's power to mine crypto for themselves, right?
Exactly, siphoning off your resources.
And it's not just about finding clever technical exploits, is it? I mean, tricking people still works.
Oh, absolutely. Phishing and social engineering are still massive vectors, just tricking users into downloading what looks like legitimate software. The SolarWinds attack is a huge example there. Hackers used malware to create a backdoor, quietly exposing, 18,000 clients? That's staggering. And then there are supply chain attacks, which are particularly chilling. That's where the malware gets embedded right into legitimate software updates or third-party tools. Like the Oyster Broomstick backdoor spread through dodgy downloads of PuTTY and WinSCP.
Yeah, that's scary stuff.
And the consequences, well, they're severe precisely because of this hidden access. For you, this could mean devastating data theft. Think financial data, logins, critical IP, slowly siphoned off over time. Backdoors can also be the initial quiet entry point for ransomware. They watch, they wait, then deploy the encryption. Beyond that, attackers can achieve full system compromise. They can modify files, install more malware, completely disrupt your operations. And once they're inside one system, they can move laterally, spreading through your network, amplifying the damage exponentially, all while staying hidden.
It really does paint a grim picture. That example from the source material. Discovering your competitor suddenly has exactly the same idea you spent years developing because your info is being stolen the whole time. That's terrifying. Or imagining your company's email server suddenly spewing, vile stuff for weeks before anyone catches on. It really drives home that this isn't just a technical problem. It's deep, hidden, long-term damage, eroding trust, reputation, long before you even know something's wrong.
Hmm.
Like a slow poison, as you said.
Yeah.
For a long time, I kind of mentally lumped all cyber threats together. Viruses, ransomware, whatever. But looking through this research, what really jumps out about backdoors is how fundamentally different they are. It's not just another flavor of malware, is it?
It absolutely isn't. And that distinction is so crucial for defense. Unlike ransomware, which basically screams its presence by encrypting your files and demanding money, or worms, which are all about spreading as fast and wide as possible, backdoors have one primary goal: persistent, stealthy access. They're not after the quick hit. They want to move in and stay.
So, less smash and grab. More like planting a long-term spy.
Okay.
Does that focus on creating covert channels also make their entry methods different, even if they start with something like phishing?
Precisely. While the initial foothold might be gained via phishing or an exploit, the design is always about creating that hidden, hard-to-detect channel for sustained bypass. It's not just a one-off exploitation that might, set off immediate alarms.
Right. And this persistence,
Yeah.
that really feels like the absolute defining characteristic here.
It truly is. That's what sets them apart. Backdoors often use really advanced techniques, like rootkits, to hide themselves from the operating system from security tools. A rootkit, for example, operates down at the kernel level. That's the absolute core of your OS. That deep access makes them incredibly hard to find because they can basically lie to security software, mimic legitimate processes. This allows them to stay hidden for ages, months, even years, maintaining control. Compare that to ransomware hitting in hours or worms spreading like wildfire. They're much more obvious.
Which leads directly to the kind of impact. You're talking about damage that's fundamentally different in nature.
Exactly. Backdoors often lead to that far-reaching, long-lasting damage that might not surface for a very long time, like that trade secret example, slowly exfiltrated over years. Other attacks, like ransomware, have immediate, very visible consequences. Files locked, networks down. Devastating, yes, but often easier to spot and react to quickly because they are so overt.
So it's this basic difference in how they operate stealth over disruption that changes everything for defense, which is why incidents like SolarWinds are such important, maybe terrifying case studies for backdoors, right?
Absolutely. SolarWinds, a classic backdoor attack. Stealthy, incredibly hard to detect, huge long-term impact on thousands of organizations. Now contrast that with, say, WannaCry ransomware, immediate, global, visible impact. Or the Mirai botnet, a worm causing widespread, immediate disruption to IoT devices. The whole nature of the threat is different, so your defense strategy has to be too.
That really clarifies why understanding these distinctions is so vital. And it seems there isn't just one type of backdoor either, which just adds layers of complexity.
Indeed. There's quite a variety. You've got Trojan backdoors, probably the most common, often slipped in via phishing. Then rootkits, which we mentioned operating at that kernel level, super hard to detect and remove because they control underlying functions. Web shells are nasty too. Scripts uploaded to web servers that give attackers remote command line control, powerful stuff. Then there are even hardware backdoors, malicious code embedded right during manufacturing, bypasses software security entirely.
Wow.
And don't forget RATs, remote access trojans. They give full remote control, often with a nice graphical interface for the attacker. And lastly, steganography-based backdoors, where the malware is hidden inside, say, an image file, makes it even sneakier.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What does this variety mean for you, the listener? It translates into some really significant concerns, way beyond just a technical glitch. First, there's that unintended access without any alerts. You just don't know they're there. Then, their incredible persistence. This isn't just about lying dormant. It's about giving the attacker time. Time to map your network, learn your operations, steal data bit by bit over months, maybe years, making detection way harder than for other threats.
And that persistence enables lateral movement. They can quietly spread within your network, finding juicier targets. There's the built-in difficulty in detection because they use anti-forensic tricks to cover their tracks. And of course, the huge risk of data exfiltration, your IP, financial records, personal data, all of which can lead to massive reputation damage, loss of customer trust, maybe even serious regulatory trouble. And just to underline how common this is, Statista data shows backdoor attacks make up something like 37% of all detected malware worldwide. That's a huge slice of the threat landscape, and it's the slice that often flies under the radar.
Okay, so given how sneaky they are, how do you detect and prevent them? It sounds incredibly difficult.
It is challenging, and it definitely requires a multi-layered approach. There's no single silver bullet. You need advanced antivirus and anti-malware, yes, preferably tools that do behavioral analysis, not just signature matching. But just as critical is strong network monitoring. Really watching for unusual activity, those subtle, covert channels we talked about. Regular updates and patch management are hygiene basics, but crucial for closing the holes they exploit. And maybe one of the most critical layers, user education. Training people to spot phishing, avoid dodgy downloads. Social engineering is still such a major entry point.
Right, the human element.
Exactly. And finally, good firewalls and intrusion detection systems, IDS, are vital for blocking unauthorized access attempts and spotting suspicious patterns.
And if, the worst happens, if despite everything, a system does get infected, it's
Yeah.
not just running a quick scan and calling it a day, I imagine.
Not at all, no. First step is immediate isolation. Get that infected machine off the network now to stop the bleeding, prevent lateral movement. Then, yes, run reputable anti-malware scans. But honestly, for a system confirmed to have a backdoor, the safest bet is often to wipe and re-image it completely.
Start fresh.
Start fresh. Reinstall the OS applications from a known clean source. And then obviously layer on additional security measures. Maybe beef up intrusion detection, review access controls to prevent it happening again. We've seen these harsh lessons play out time and again in big incidents. SolarWinds, as we mentioned, attributed to Russian intelligence, hitting 18,000 clients via a sophisticated backdoor. That was huge. Double Pulsar back in 2017, targeting Windows for cryptojacking. Oyster Broomstick, an advanced persistent threat using really clever evasion tactics. Even going way back to '98, the Cult of the Dead CAG group made backdoor tools exploiting Windows weaknesses for remote control. Shows this threat vector has a long, evolving history. These aren't theoretical worries. They're real, historical events, and the threat is ongoing.
And it's worth remembering, there are legal teeth now, too. Like that Michigan law making it a criminal offense to intentionally insert malicious code like this to mess with systems without permission. The law is slowly catching up to just how serious these hidden intrusions are. So I think what this deep dive really underscores is that getting your head around backdoor malware, its unique stealth, its persistence, its sneaky methods, is just crucial for effective cybersecurity today. It's a completely different animal compared to the loud, obvious threats.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really hammers home that you need specific strategies for backdoors. Being aware of how they differ from ransomware or worms is essential for building defenses that actually work. It's not one size fits all. And it's a constant battle. There's good work happening, like those MIT scientists mentioned in the sources, trying to find better ways to detect these things, using new tech to fight back against these evolving threats.
Which brings us nicely to our final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Knowing that attackers are now leveraging AI to find new vulnerabilities, to create even more effective backdoors. What overlooked door in your digital life might be the most inviting target for one of these stealthy long-term intrusions? Where do your most valuable digital assets live? And how truly protected are they from these kinds of hidden, persistent threats? Something to think about.